I'm doing this not just because of the remake coming out next year, but because around this time of the year, I really just feel like playing a horror game. So, why not play one of the greats? So, if you don't know Dead Space, well, Dead Space came out in 2008, and that year was kind of spotty with a lot of games. And some were good, some were bad, but all in all, it was a decent year, especially for Dead Space. And it got a lot of commercials that really made me interested in the concept, but it's still a decent game to play even after 14 years now. Ugh, I'm old. But unlike a lot of games that seem to age after maybe the first 5 years, this game certainly didn't age that badly. Yeah, it still looks kind of spotty in some areas, but this game still terrifies me and freaks me the frick out almost every time I play it. And if you want to know why, well, let's get started. Let's go! Time to get spooky. Now, normally there would probably be some type of shout out to I don't know what you call them, a sponsor or Patreon or the like. Well, yeah, you're not going to get that here. Let's move on.
And now for something completely different.
Now, before getting to the story and the like, I wanted to talk about how this game, at least for me, puckered my cheeks despite playing it so many times. I probably played this game at least over 10, and it still freaks me the heck out. And why it also still terrifies me. It's just that good at it. These days, at least in recent years, we do have some decent horror games, but like I said, in 2008,
What?
Yeah. It was very mixed bag for sure, at least when it came to the horror genre of games. But unlike most games of that time, ugh, thinking about it makes me feel even older. Dead Space knew how to set up its world and immerse you into it. The first is obviously the heads up display, or at least the lack of one, since everything you need to know is on Isaac, from his health, stasis bar, to the ammo count, to the inventory, navigation, and just general info are all presented in a unique but deceptively simple way. Since you aren't taken out by pausing for all that, because a lot of games, such as Resident Evil 4, you have to pause in order to manage the inventory. So when you're not pausing to manage that, you're actually a little more immersed into the game world. Which I have to say, very nice, but also it's a very tricky way to have you tense throughout doing it. And because you're becoming more immersed, you're also getting immersed in the presentation, the atmosphere.
Surprise, motherfucker.
It also helps that Isaac, throughout pretty much the entire game, he only really has one line, and that's at the end of the game. And him being silent, it, at least for me, it felt like what was happening to him also happened to me. It also helps that the sounds and the ambiance lend to not always feeling safe, but also tense and jumpy. just shadows would make me jump and be a little freaked out. It's just how well this game presents those kinds of techniques and does so well. And Dead Space definitely knows how to implement these to give a very authentic feeling of fear. At least for the first few hours. As you get better armor, weapons, and the like, the game does become a little less scary because you feel a little more prepared. But you don't stop being any less tense. But with that, now we can talk about the gameplay. Now, obviously, this game is similar to others with its general feel, but the mechanics are what really set it apart from various other games. You do find out fast, and repeatedly, that to shoot the limbs off for extra damage against the necromorphs. You do find this out through tutorial speak, audio log, and in-game dialogue.
By dismembering enemy limbs and doing extra damage.
In the body, you gotta cut off the limbs. Grab a cutter, anything like that. Cut them apart.
Isaac, be careful. Shooting them in the body didn't seem to work. Go for the limbs. Dismember them. That should do the job.
Almost back to back. It sounds very simple, but it's very diverse, as you just cutting off one limb may not work.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Well, what's that then?
So the necromorphs may survive just that one and run at you to attack you.
Victory is mine.
So being creative, or at least familiar with the mechanics, will be the absolute key to survival, since this is a survival horror game. These days, that's a little more common because it's not as niche anymore, but 2008, that's a little questionable. And I did mention earlier, but Dead Space also introduced the stasis function. Pretty much instant Snyder cuts. For necromorphs, and even objects to solve puzzles, lending to its versatility. Eventually, you'll also get the kinesis module, and this lets you move things like a Jedi and launch them at objects or people, or use it to solve puzzles. Like if you need to move an object around the room, it makes it feel much better to do with something like that. With the kinesis module, you can even borrow the necromorph limbs to save on ammo, which adds more versatility to it. Eventually, you'll also get into low gravity zones. These are areas where you can walk around on walls, jump off of them, and solve puzzles, or fight in these areas, or just to generally get around, or have a mix of them. And yeah, that doesn't sound very tense, but Dead Space also adds in vacuums where you're literally in space and have to deal with not only what I talked about, but now an O2 gauge where you have to manage oxygen and make sure you have enough oxygen or else you'll suffocate. And just adding that simple mechanic adds to the tension like nothing else. And I also mentioned that you can get better armor and weapons. You can also upgrade these weapons. You can also upgrade your health, your stasis, kinesis, all those with power nodes, which are these purple objects that you find or buy along with armor upgrades too during your playthrough. Because of these and the progressive feel, you feel a little more prepared for the journey. No less tense, but you don't feel as scared or underprepared. But now, we'll talk about the story, which, in all honesty, can be a bit generic. It is still captivating to listen to and watch, or then let alone play. So, Dead Space starts off with us finding out that we're answering a distress call to the USG Ishimura, which is a giant-ass ship that seems to be derelict now. But instead of having a soft landing, you crash land on it. It seems to be very empty, very bloody, and after a little bit, the red shirts, the people you don't really talk to or have any interaction with that came with you, these two random dudes, get redder.
Jesus! Open fire! Open fire! Get the power! Get the...
Come on! Come on! Jesus! The guys are not! Inside! Jesus! 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 Jesus!
Hello there.
Eventually, you get your first weapon, and now it's time to cut them down to size. And eventually you get the stasis module after a bit too, and instant matrix slow-mo, which is great at making them dead-er. And eventually you put the tram back together.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
And now to try and ship out, or not.
Shit.
Because it exploded, and I just had it detailed too. So, off we go to the tram, and, well, leave it to high officials or government authorities. You gotta buy shit still in an apocalypse. Or it's just a slow day.
Right.
Eventually we make it to the doctor's office. And apparently, you have to make a bomb.
Looks like the crew barricaded the door to the emergency wing. You have to blow through it to get to the morgue. Get some thermite from medical storage and a shock pad from zero-G therapy. Should be down the corridor.
That's fair.
To get some body and fight demon babies now. So, find the captain of the dead after he gets penetrated. Get rid proper. And finally leave my usual doctor's appointment. Aside from dead bodies, blood, a crazy person or two, demon babies, fighting to get a bomb. I had a point. Oh, right. I became a Jedi, or a Sith, with the addition of the Kinesis module. Oh well, I'm done here. Now, apparently, the ship is falling from orbit. That can't be good.
You've got two problems, and we're working on borrowed time here. First, there's no fuel in the engines. Second, the gravity centrifuge is offline, which means there's a couple of trillion tons of rock pulling us down.
So, gotta fix the engines, and of course, the dead will stop at nothing to kill you. Great. Even after you fix the engines, the situation just gets rockier.
Boo! You stink!
Apparently, you gotta get the big-ass cannons online, or at least the asteroid defense system.
Isaac, come in. Kendra's right. The ADS is completely...
I prefer big-ass cannons. Dodge asteroids, and eventually get the cannon up and running, while doing a manual override. Yay! Fortunately, you get it fixed. But wait! There's more!
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby! Cause this one's a screamer!
Now the oxygen levels are falling. And now you gotta fix that.
Oxygen levels are falling. Something's poisoning hydroponics air production, and whatever it is, it's filling the deck up with that organic stuff. We're not going to have any air to breathe soon.
Will this never end?
Now we get the crazy doctor and the regenerator, or the hunter. It's kind of the same thing. Truly terrible, but nothing compared to the horror of glitches. Seriously, this part of the game is notorious for glitches, and still seems to be caused by either a save bug, so you reload the save, which I did, or by the game having too many frames.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
So, turned VSync on and finished the regenerator, for the first round at least, and being thoroughly tickled by glitches. Yay. Now to stop the poisoning of oxygen. Now, I didn't mention her, but Nicole, who is also part of Isaac wanting to come on this mission to see and find her, pops up more, and eventually you encounter the Leviathan. This is the first boss of the game. Not too bad. Really bad though. Especially after post-poisoning. Still big. Although, looks like a giant
An asshole!
And now, we have to send a distress beacon.
Located an SOS beacon on the mining deck.
And you actually finally meet Nicole. Actually talk to her and somewhat interact with her. And Isaac's, well, and he doesn't really question, obviously, and doesn't suspect anything going on, so, whatever. So you finally send the signal and on an asteroid, because they have an asteroid now, and with some hope on the way.
I have a bad feeling about this.
But, oh no! The comm systems are out too. Yay! Now we're off to fix the comms. Plus, after you fix the comms, you get a call from the USM Valor, or just the Valor, that hails the ship of the Ishimura. But one necromorph, jettisoned from the Ishimura itself, apparently Hammond, the commanding officer of the journey, jettisoned it, and apparently they picked it up.
Shit.
But apparently, even after fixing the comm systems, you have to go up to the main comm array and shoot off a giant mass of flesh and stuff. It doesn't have an actual name, but apparently it's called the Slug. And after taking care of that, apparently the Valor opened the pod and they got screwed over from their cargo. Yay.
USM Valor, Kendra Daniels on the USG Ishimura, come in. Do not open the escape pod. Damn it, respond.
Shit.
Now, after being declared the mission is an absolute dumpster fire of epic proportions.
Listen, I'm calling aboard on the mission. Fuck the CEC and fuck the chain of command.
We gotta salvage the Valor. Yeah, it crashed. And get the hell out. So you get into the Valor, get creeped out from Nicole.
Isaac, please call again.
And seemingly is asking Isaac to make them whole again. Kind of like finding her, I guess. Again. And eventually meet a certain Dr. Tyne, who has popped up in some audio logs if you've been picking them up. But after dealing with new Necros, and eventually getting the core, which you need to launch the shuttle that is apparently in storage on the Ishimura, Hammond gets yeeted, deleted, by a giant brute, and the Valor blows up. It seems to me ships seem to always blow up around Isaac. And now to fix the ship, not the Ishimura. We're done fixing this bucket of bolts. Honestly, I don't know what else to call it. This thing has been such a nightmare to fix up, and it turns out, oh, I'm leaving the ship already. Too bad all that work went to waste.
How about new?
And after getting the ship repaired, you deal with the regenerator again, and finally have a ship. I'm not that excited because of the track record that has been set. And now, apparently, we have to stop the hive mind, which seems to be controlling the necromorph infestation. It's not really an invasion. Is it an invasion or an infestation? I'm going to say infestation. And get the marker, which is this giant red obelisk looking thing, back home onto the planet. Oh, and apparently the crazy doctor is still around. And he sacrifices himself to the necromorphs. Okay. And now that the ship works, supposedly, and the marker is loaded now, we just help Tyne and, well, shit. Kendra shoots him and leaves you for dead.
That's fine.
But then, Nicole helps take the ship back and finish the mission. And we don't suspect a thing at all because it's perfectly normal and not questionable at all. Because with Nicole, who is totally real and with you till the end, and nothing creepy.
Oh, right.
Now it's the final stretch. Time to return the One Ring. The marker back home. After moving the marker through a gauntlet of necros and giant tentacles, finally the marker is back home. And Nicole was apparently an illusion this entire time. I'm so shocked.
Hold on to your butts.
But before you could leave, Kendra takes the marker again, and you find out that Nicole's been dead this entire time.
Oh, this?
And the answer is... Dull surprise!
But you eventually come to the final battle with the hive mind. And yeah. So, Kendra gets yeeted by the hive mind, and the final boss commences.
An asshole.
Doesn't take very long, very simple, easy to understand final boss. You just shoot the yellow pulsating blobs. It yells at you. And with the final blow, Isaac commands a door to unlock with his one line in the entire game with actual words. But eventually you get into the door. Then the planet's core, or the asteroid that was hovering over it, blows up where you just were. And you finally have a quiet moment to think about the journey that you've been on, or not. And that...
7 hours later.
Now, for a game over a decade old, does it hold up? In my opinion, yes. But it is still fairly dated compared to its sequels. Well, more so Dead Space 2. 3 is kind of eh. With some gameplay being jank, the presentation is also still a little wonky. It is still worth playing, though. With the very promising remake coming out soon, I really hope it's good. This may not hold true, though.
Right.
But if you want a masterclass in survival horror games with a decent story, gameplay, and all the like, I can honestly tell you, you won't be disappointed with Dead Space. I'd highly recommend going to play it if you have a chance.